Yo, what's going on, guys? It's gonna be another trade recap today. We ended up taking no trades today. Arguably should have taken one, but we're gonna go over why I ended up fading the trade that I did like, and I'm going over trade of the day in my opinion too. Right, so coming into the morning, pretty clean bullish bias in my opinion. We did have an SM2 at Asia highs, but again, that was nothing to be worried about, especially when we're delivering off of a higher time frame key level and shown to be in a bullish market structure. As of so, it's a pretty simple higher time frame bullish based bias. Coming into market open, we had this 30-minute fair value gap. We had two of them here. We had this more discounted one, and then we had this more slightly premiumed one above. So yeah, any manipulation into that kind of this range here with this key level. We also had the volume wasn't looking the best here. I'm not going to lie, the low volume node. So yeah, definitely wanted to see some clean confirmation through this to end up taking the trade. Cool. So getting into market open ends up actually, unfortunately enough, opening higher here, but that's fine. All that was really doing was just generating more liquidity inside this pool. We did have this 15-minute for value gap here, but again, a 15-minute for value gap in such a steep leg like this is really something that I wouldn't be paying too much attention to. I'm not gonna lie. So after this, then we end up making our move lower here into this 30-minute for value gap, where we then generate this new range, and then we come all the way down to here, stripping out a bunch of liquidity to the downside. Not really, actually, just a lot of 5-minute lows and not much liquidity. But we came into this 30-minute for value gap here, into the discounted one, and then we started to actually displace higher off of this. There's no really valid trades that I could see from here, especially when you're battling against 1, 2, 3, three and about to be formed. So three 5-minute for value gaps, bearish ones, and then a about to be formed 15-minute one. Any longs here were kind of just a bit tragic to me, in my opinion. I wouldn't really be looking for any longs here, even though they did end up playing out. But these are pretty low probability longs, in my opinion. You just don't have that confirmation telling you that we actually want to go higher from here. So yeah. And then we had this really nice short that kind of presented it. It wasn't really nice, but it was on paper. It was beautiful, right? So looking at the Nasdaq here, if you want to just draw out this 15-minute for value gap, look at this. So we're generating liquidity to the downside here. 10 a.m. opens higher into this 15-minute for value gap beautifully. Wicks the C. Range wise, it was okay as well. I'm pretty sure it was decent. Range wise, I think it was C, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is a really clean narrative. We wick C the range, we wick C the for value gap, and we have that bearish narrative presenting itself here with the 10 a.m. PO3, 9:30 PO3 stacking, target to lower. The only thing about that, the target to lower are kind of just minimal, and not really good targets, but there is low resistance building up to a draw, so it definitely wasn't that bad. And this was this right here. Now I would have taken this trade 10 times out of 10, if it wasn't for the fact that the S&P 500 at this time was just looking extremely bullish. So if you want to go to this time at around 10 o'clock here, we can see that the S&P 500 is kind of just rallying through this bearish range that it made, inversing all of these little key levels that it made. And overall, especially since we are delivering off of a 30-minute fair value gap with a fat rejection wick, that is just not something I'd be willing to be interested in, especially for shorts here. And because when you're trading the Nasdaq, and you have to be looking at the S&P 500, right? You have to be looking at its twin, bro. The S&P 500 is the Nasdaq's twin, and if the S&P 500 is doing showing a completely different narrative than what the Nasdaq is, I'm gonna say around 8 to 9 times out of 10, that trade idea that you have is probably going to fail. More or not the fact that because the S&P 500 is literally just rallying higher here, inversing bearish gaps to the upside, disrespecting bearish order flow or respecting bullish higher time frame. So this was definitely a pretty clear fade for me. And yeah, but overall, I think this trade is good. I would rate this trade probably okay, on paper, right? Ignore the S&P 500. Looking at this trade on paper, it's A rated. But when you take the S&P 500 with that huge con into account, this is the thing about trading, is there's always going to be risks behind your trade. So you have to kind of sit there and determine what do the pros outweigh the cons, right? And there's a few things in trading with pros and cons. There's some slightly mid pros that are okay, yeah, this is cool. This helps my trade idea. And then there's one that's okay, this really helps my trade idea. This is perfect. But then there's also cons as well, and then there's little bad cons. Bad cons would be an internal SMT maybe at your break, or anything a small. What's a bad con? An SMT against the higher time frame. No true manipulation. Those are kind of bad cons, but huge cons. I'm definitely confusing the people here, but like a huge con, which would be like something really bad about the trade, would be, of course, if we are disrespecting the flow that you want to follow. And when looking at the S&P 500, that was the main con about this trade, is that the S&P 500 was clearly disrespecting bearish order flow. So even though we had all these really good pros on NASDAQ, that one con being that the S&P 500 is disrespecting bearish order flow, that is a really big con. So that's a bad thing about your trade, and that's a huge threat to your stop loss. So with that in mind, that was like a simple kind of fade for me. Okay, so again, as you can see, this setup gets slammed, and then we come into this where we had this massive 1 minute candle around 10-12. I think this was something got to do with Trump and Iran or whatever it may be. I don't even know, but it's just some straight BS anyway. And then this is when we ended up getting presented with this continuation model. So we ended up opening this 5 minute fair value gap here, which we ended up retracing into. Now there was a 2 minute out of this, which I think is not bad. I don't mind this 2 minute. I'm not going to lie to you. I think this 2 minute is fine. Only thing about this 2 minute was that we were opening a 15 minute fair value gap at my stop loss, and the S&P 500 did not really look like it wanted to go higher at this point either. So I decided to wait here. And then around here is when the S&P 500, as you can see, I have the SMT drone in here, when the S&P 500 had that stop hunt inside of that 15 minute fair value gap. And at this point now, I was looking to take this 2 minute inversion. But looking at how this played, again, so we tested this 2 minute fair value gap once, twice, 3 times, huge rejection wick, and then we finally inversed it. Now this entry in itself is definitely not that bad, and I think this is also a good trade. And the only thing about this trade is just the lack of hesitation, because when you have everything that you need, you really don't want to see hesitation with price. I do think this trade was good though. Like, I probably should have taken this, but I decided not to, just due to the conditions. This is just like recognizing conditions. I feel like this is extremely choppy. Like, if we look at the 1 minute, fail, oh, and then we come lower again, there we go. Like, it's kind of just a bit of chop, especially when you have everything we need to continue the move higher. We shouldn't really be stalling like we are now. It's not like a beautiful sign. And then we get this like diddy candle to the downside here, and this was like a news spike candle as well. So at this point, I was like debating on taking this re-entry, which was right here. Where was it? Next candle. Yeah, as you can see, like, look at this chop. I was debating on taking this re-entry on this bullish candle at 1052, but I decided I just don't want to do this, because what I asked myself while I was looking at this, because I already labeled out all the cons with this trade, being it very choppy price action, very slow delivery, and just not looking that great, especially after like that huge news candle, and also this news candle here, or this like random spike in price. I wasn't really feeling it. And it felt like more you were kind of just betting on what range, would we take range high or range low first. But what I will admit is that it was very strongly pointed towards taking range high first, even with all this jazz. So that is kind of the reason why I said I probably should have taken this trade. But either way, this trade ends up chopping around for a lot. And then eventually we do end up delivering you to take profit. But yeah, I did end up fading this trade due to the reason it was being pretty late in the session. Price action just looked like it was dying off, and I wasn't a fan of the delivery that we were doing within this range. But overall, I would rate this trade actually trade of the day. So in my opinion, with the narrative backing and everything, this 2 minute inversion here at 1042, in my personal opinion, is trade of the day, and is the only trade that I actually debated on taking. Everything else was okay. I guess this 2 minute here is not bad. The one out of the 5 minute gap, but the threat to your stop loss is just pretty high. But I do think this 2 minute was also fine as well. This 2 minute does end up delivering to full take profit as well. If you did take this, it's basically the same entry as the other one. So yeah. Overall, pretty good price action, and slow delivery at the end of the session, which can be expected, and just made me lose conviction in this trade. Overall, I'm not going to lie, this month has been pretty clean. Price action has been good. Still need to fix up a few things with the mental, such as hesitation and fear, but overall, we are getting a lot better and improving as a trader every single day, which is all that matters. And yeah, pretty good price action today, not going to lie. Just not the best delivery and small things that I wanted to see to put risk on the table. Like yesterday was a lot more clear in my opinion. Very, very good PA yesterday. Honestly, great PA all this week except for the bank holiday Monday. And yeah, so that's going to be it for today's recap, guys. I hope you have a blessed rest of your evening. Let me know in the comments below if you ended up taking anything today, if you have any questions on why I faded a certain thing, or if you've seen something that I didn't. Leave that in the comments below. I'm always interested to see what you guys are taking. If you have any questions for me personally as well, my Instagram, TikTok, and Discord will be in the bio of this video. If you guys want to go check them out, drop me a follow or a message, and I'll 100% respond to that if it's anything got to do with trading related. And yeah, looking forward to the future of this channel. We're going to be documenting our entire journey to profitability, and showing people what it takes to actually become a profitable day trader. It's not all sunshine and rainbows around here. Just being 100% real with it. And yeah, that's going to wrap up today's recap, guys. I will catch you guys on Monday. I'm not going to do a recap tomorrow because I'm working tomorrow. And wait, what day is it? Thursday, yeah. Okay, so I'm working tomorrow, so I will not be trading tomorrow. So there's no point in me giving a recap on that. The next recap will be on Monday. So I'll catch you guys then. I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Stay blessed and keep pushing towards your goals. Peace.